I have been on an Obsidian RPG kick this year. Just this year alone, I played through Fallout New Vegas for the very first time, the first Outer Worlds, and Avowed. And I kind of loved each of those games to varying degrees, so I was really excited for the Outer Worlds 2 and was ready to love it as well. Sadly, while I do think this is a really good game, I didn't love it, and I do think it's Obsidian's weakest title in a little while. Again though, it is a very good RPG. Welcome to Bite Size Bunny, my name's Tony, and today we're going to be talking about the Outer Worlds 2. In the Outer Worlds 2, you play as an agent of the Earth Directorate, and you're tasked with the mission of uncovering the mystery of why all of these dangerous rifts are popping up all around the world of Arcadia. But when you embark on this dangerous mission with your team, you are betrayed by your team leader and left for dead. With most of your crew wiped out and you left severely injured, requiring years of recovery before you can get back up on your feet, you then embark on a quest of revenge to try and take down your team leader that is now a renegade agent. Oh, and also, we'll get back to those rifts at some point in the story. The Outer Worlds 2 is easily its weakest component, and as someone that really prioritizes their story and characters and video games, especially when it comes to RPGs, I was really disappointed by the fact that the story was so underwhelming here. It's not inherently bad, it's just so over-familiar, and it doesn't really do anything all that special to make it stand out. The first half of this game's story is painfully slow. It starts out focusing heavily on the revenge story of trying to track down the agent that is responsible for betraying you and your team, and it just feels like the same generic revenge story we've seen 1,000 times already. Maybe it would have had more of an impact if I actually cared about the crew before they met their ill fate, or if I really cared about any of the characters in this game. But after a point, it just kind of felt like a slog to get through, and I was just trying to push my way through the main quest. It's nowhere near as fun of a premise as the first Outer Worlds, where you're just this random dude that comes across this legendary bounty hunter that happened to die in a horrible accident, and now you've just taken on his persona and decided you're going to go on adventures across the galaxy and pretend to be this badass. There's also not a single character in the Outer Worlds 2 that I ended up falling in love with. I would also say there's just no characters in this game that are anywhere near as interesting as the characters we meet in the first Outer Worlds or even Avowed. With all of that being said about the main narrative, I will say the side quests in this game are better than the main quest, and based off of the side missions I've played so far, I do think there is a lot of fun to be had there. They expand upon the world in a multitude of ways, even if they don't necessarily do much to win me over on these characters. But it does feel like there's a noticeable difference in the creativity and the variety they put into the side content. It definitely gives me the impression this is one of those RPGs you're going to want to create a character and get lost in the world with, instead of focusing on that main story. When it comes to the combat, it is exactly what you would expect from the Bethesda-style RPGs of the world, except for I will say the Outer Worlds 2 is quite possibly the best feeling one of those games yet. While the gunplay and melee combat don't do anything all that groundbreaking or feel all that new, I will say the RPG mechanics really shine in the combat and the moment-to-moment gameplay. There are so many different builds you can make here that it really does feel like it is being tailored to fit your personal gameplay experience and the story you're creating within your playthrough. I personally ended up running a build where I put all of my points into speech and melee, so whenever I wasn't able to talk myself out of various combat scenarios, I then had this very OP two-hammer build that I was using to run around and one-shot enemies, and anytime I took down an enemy, it would strike fear into all of the enemies surrounding them, causing them to be temporarily paralyzed in fear until I could kind of just bounce from one enemy to the next, taking out everyone in the room. And the fact that I was able to stumble into something so fun and ridiculous within my first playthrough immediately made me want to re-roll my character and start a brand new playthrough just to see what all would be different with a brand new build. Especially with there being so many things I was locked out of upon my first playthrough, not just from from a dialogue perspective, but there were whole areas of buildings that I wasn't able to explore because I didn't put enough points into hacking or lockpicking. The gameplay in The Outer Worlds 2 is fantastic. I think it's easily some of the best available within the first-person RPG genre. And normally with these kind of games, I play through them once and I'm ready to move on. But with The Outer Worlds 2, I'm genuinely excited to keep coming back to this title just to see how different each one of my experiences can be and if my score would eventually go up on it over time with each playthrough. Overall, The Outer Worlds 2 is lacking when it comes to the story and characters, but when it comes to the side missions and the RPG gameplay mechanics, it's a great time. At this time, after my first playthrough, I do think this is my least favorite Obsidian RPG, but at the same time, it's still a really good game, and I think there's some great elements here. I'm going to be giving The Outer Worlds 2 a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And what's your favorite Obsidian RPG? I'd love to know.